Airglue Media and the Cantina Cast are proud to present Mando Monday. And welcome back to Mando Monday. I am your host, Mike Rondo. We got episode 2 that dropped, or chapter 2, that dropped over Friday. And we're back at it. So we got a few things to clean up from the last episode because some controversy happened after I recorded the first chapter there. So first thing is we're going to address the Boba Fett issue. So now some are saying that's Boba Fett. Others are saying, no, it's not Boba Fett. For me personally, I only noticed this right around when everyone else started catching wind of this because I believe I said in chapter 1, or I might have said it in Discord. I can't remember. I'd said, wait a minute, is that when he's walking down the hallway, is that person in the clone phase 1 armor? So I was paying attention to that. And as the Mandalorian was walking, I saw him like, wait a minute, was that Boba Fett? Because that's just a little crazy. And that does not make any sense, really, that it's Boba Fett. Number one, the client says, you're the best in the parsec here. Well, Boba Fett's supposed to be the best in the galaxy. At least the legend has it. So I would say, no, that's not Boba Fett. I think it's a homage to Boba Fett. I think Dave and John were kind of, paying a nod to Boba Fett and where everything began. And this is almost like Boba Fett passing off the torch, if you will. So that's how I see it. I don't see it as anything, some secret thing going on in the background. The other thing I want to bring up, and there's going to be a spoiler here, a big spoiler, and this may ruin it for you, may not, I don't know. But Pedro Pascal, he kind of said something about the Mandalorian's name, and I'm going to play a clip for you right now from Screen Slam, which he was doing an interview. So I don't know, there's controversy if this is leaked or if this was, not a big deal, and this was part of the interview, and this is what happened, and, whoop-de-doo, this is kind of what happened. So I'm going to play the clip right now, and let's just again, a spoiler warning, if you don't want to know, do not listen, turn this off, and watch the rest of the Mandalorian until he reveals his name on the show. So with that said, I am going to play the clip now.
The Mandalorian, whose name is Din Djarin, is your iconically...
All right, so there we go. That's Din Djarin. What do you guys think? Do you think that matters? Does that ruin your experience? I know, I can't remember if it was JW in Discord or somebody else where we were talking about this, and he said, should I go click on it and find out and everything? And I said, well, I wasn't going to initially. Initially, I was like hesitant to do that. I'm like, oh, I kind of want to, let it ride out in the show because I have stayed away from spoilers on Reddit with The Mandalorian. Of course, episode 9, I can't help myself. So I was like, I don't know. Is this that big of a deal? Because the way that we're describing it is Pedro is just like nonchalant about it, and nobody seems at Lucasfilm or Dave or John had made a big deal about it. It's like, all right, okay, no big deal. So does it ruin anything for you? It doesn't ruin anything for me. I was surprised by that. I thought it would, but fortunately it did not. I don't think his name is a big deal. In fact, I'm kind of relieved that it happened already. Like, I got it out of the way, and that's fine with me. I guess the big thing now is the helmet. Do we want it on or off? I get a sneaking suspicion Baby Yoda might take his helmet off before he parts ways with him. That's just a little theory I have, but we're not going to see it. We might see the back of his head, very much like Darth Vader or something like that. That I wouldn't mind. I think for season 1, I don't want to see his face because I think Pedro does an excellent job just... with the mannerisms, with the helmet and everything else. So, all right, so let's get into the episode here. The description for this episode is very basic, and obviously it did hit that because target in hand, the Mandalorian must now contend with scavengers, and he certainly did, and I got a lot to say about that. I'm not sure if that was a good thing. So, but anyway, speaking of good, let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. What I really loved about this was how it was really a silent film the first half or first 10 minutes of it. No words were spoken. I thought it was great. It reminded me of like when George Lucas, some of his most brilliant moments in the original trilogy or even in the prequels is when he doesn't use any words. He uses music and he uses imagery to convey an emotion or a feeling. Obviously, it's the same thing. And he does that brilliantly. And we've said that on the Cantina Cast. Some of his best moments are when there's no words spoken because his dialogue can be less than great at some points. But anyway, the other thing I liked was Baby Yoda trying to make friends with the Mando. I thought that was cute. I thought that was great. I'm not big fans of cuteness in Star Wars, as I've said to Albert and Jonesy and many of you. But it worked very well here. I thought that was funny. The other thing I liked was the little details with when they were walking through that little cave or that crevice or whatever, and the top is open there. You see one of the Trandoshans jumping off to the side to ambush the Mandalorian. You see that little shadow. I thought that was a great thing to add. That was a nice little touch. So I know we have some flaws in the first two episodes and probably in this season, but they do pay attention to details where it's needed. So I think things will get straightened out. The other thing I liked was the Jawa interactions. I thought that was great when they were sitting around having the negotiations, and when he says, "You sound like a Wookiee," there. I thought that was. I laughed out loud. That was just so funny. I didn't know. It was just weird to see subtitles and Jawa speaking to. It was just funny. I thought cool. I think that's how I'm going to pronounce it. Cool or Queel. We'll go with Queel. Shined in this episode, which is funny because he's not in it that long, but the moments he was there, I thought he really shined much more than the first episode. I thought he kind of stood out. The other thing I liked, that rifle, man. I like Rocket from the Avengers. I gotta have that. I gotta have that rifle there. And of course, it reminded me of War of the Worlds with Steven Spielberg several years, I guess it could be. The other thing was the environment. Love they made it rain, and the night before when he's going to meet the Jawas, and then when he goes to face the Mudhorn, it's all muddy and everything. So I thought that was a good detail, like the Trandoshan. So that was really great. Baby Yoda using the Force, my daughter loves him. Oh, her. Could be her, I'm not sure. Oh, the Yoda species. She loved seeing that moment there. I liked it, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, it was kind of obvious. We all knew it was going to happen, right? That he was going to be Force sensitive. So it's not a shock that we saw him doing that. So those are the things that I thought were the good. The bad, the Jawas reducing his ship to scrap, and then the whole repairing scene and the montage and all that. I don't know. I couldn't buy it. I was like, I don't know. Would you? I mean, as the Mandalorian said, it would take days, but I don't know. It just didn't. It didn't do too much for me. I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way. But anyway, I think that's nitpicking though, because overall the episode was really great. I prefer less monsters because Star Wars seems to be on this monster kick of late with the Kylo Ren comic book with the Zillo Beast, and now we got this, and then we had the Blurg incident with the Mandalorian. It's like, all right, okay, come on, let's move on. The other thing was the time of this episode. Although it went by fast, I did like it. It just reminded me of what us podcasters do and creators on YouTube. We kind of just go as long as we need, no more, no less. You just kind of do the episode as long as you need to go, or it feels right. You just end it when it feels right to end it. Someone had made mention, I think it was Nerdist News, that this should have been just part of episode 1, but maybe they want to break it down into an episodic feel for us. So I'm not sure. The other thing that was odd is the recap. I didn't think we needed it, but then again, I thought about it on Friday morning. I'm like, wait a minute. All right, I get the recap because now we had the first 2 episodes, 1, 2 in week 1 here, and then now we're gonna go till Friday, and maybe we need that recap going forward in the season. But I don't know. I mean, you can skip over it. So is it that big of a deal? I don't think so. It just feels like it took away from the episode because that's what, a minute and a half or whatever it was that we could have used with storytelling, I guess. The other thing is the Yoda species involvement. I know I just said I liked seeing him use the Force and everything, or her using the Force. I'm just a little nervous that they're gonna reveal Yoda's species and all that other stuff, and I don't want them to do that. I want some mystery, but I think Dave will respect that, and he won't do that with George. He won't go to the holy territory, and we shouldn't go there. And I think he'll get close, and I don't think he'll go there fully. I think the other thing I fear is like something like this happened in Kenobi, and we kind of go too far to, the big mystery there. Because I do like a little bit of mystery in Star Wars where we can all kind of just make up our own thing in our heads or whatever. And the ugly, well, this is really ugly because this episode, as much as I enjoyed it and I thought it was great, it felt like a filler episode, and that's not good when you have 8 episodes this season. Um, so I have a problem with that. I really think this shouldn't. This is like we're still on the planet. He's got the asset or the Baby Yoda. Do we really need to be, there again? I mean, we just dealt with the Blurg situation where he's, going through that. But I mean, the upside is I like that they're putting this character through, a lot of things where he's going to struggle, and it shows he's not perfect, and I like that about him. But I just felt like this, for being too short, I don't know, it just didn't sit well with me at all, actually. But I still enjoyed the episode, so it's not all that bad. Again, the good, the bad, and the ugly with this segment here with me is it's really more nitpicking, really, at the end of the day, because it was really good. The Mandalorian lore, we didn't get too much, because like I said at the top here, it was 10 minutes of silence, really, a silent movie, so we didn't get much, other than the disintegrations, which I don't know if that's technically a Mandalorian thing, and the flame that he shoot out of his wrist rocket there, or his wrist guard. I don't think that's a true Mandalorian thing, but that goes back to Jango and Boba Fett, so it's in that lore aspect. I don't know, I'll have to research this a little bit more, or maybe one of you Mandalorian fans can let me know if this is really a thing. I mean, like I said, I know a lot about Mandalore, and I know a lot about Star Wars, but I don't know everything. The light on his helmet also is a good nod to Rex and the clones from the Clone Wars. It made me think of that. My daughter actually pointed that out, so credit to my daughter Morgan. The main takeaway, I guess, with the Mandalorian lore was I'm a Mandalorian. Weapons are part of my religion, and he won my heart there. I thought that was great. So that's about it for the Mandalorian lore this week. Not much, so maybe we'll get a little bit more next week when he goes back and he gets his payment and all that other stuff. So let's get into the character development here, the character intel. So the Mandalorian, I didn't see much development, obviously, because it was a silent film for 10 minutes, but I do wonder about this whole, I think it made more sense now with his character, because I was a little conflicted. I'm like, all right, now he's emotionally attached to Baby Yoda and all that. And the more I realize is, no, he just wants the asset alive so he can get a higher bounty, because obviously his armor is falling apart. So I don't think he cares, really. Even when he was dealing with the kid or the child, he wasn't really that concerned, other than keeping him alive, because he wants to get paid. He has a motivation there with getting paid, because his armor's falling apart and he needs new Beskar armor and stuff. He wants the good stuff. He did lose his patience with the Jawa, and he loses patience every now and then, but he's still willing to work with others in a situation that benefits him. I think he's all for doing what he's got to do for the job and the payment, and he'll adapt to whatever the situation is in order to do that, but it's got to benefit him in the long run. And I think he did that with IG-11. I think that he used basically him to get to where he needed to, and then he just killed him because that's what he had to do. All right, so let's get into Keel. We're going with that, I think. I don't know. I butchered his name several times, but I've done that many, many times. So I felt like, again, his character's personality came out more, and he was more likable. And I enjoy the mutual respect the two of them are developing between each other. It feels genuine and grounded, and there's a good rapport between the two of them. I just highly enjoy that. And he actually is kind of like his own little mentor that he met on the side of the road, kind of like Master Yoda and Luke in Empire Strikes Back, where he kind of guides the Mandalorian in the Mandalorian way of things, because he's read the stories. So I know Albert said on episode 300 of the Cantina Cast that he thinks the Mandalorian isn't a true Mandalorian, and he might be right here, because he didn't know about the mythosaur and all that other stuff. So a little curious here. So, but anyway, let's get into the speculation for the next episode. I assume the next episode will see him attacked in space. That just seems like that's what's going to happen. I'm not sure how long the battle will be, but I do believe he'll wind up with the client's hideout where the Imperials show up and we have a big shootout. I think that's where they're going. I think. And it's possibly, we may see the epic scene of him flying off the TIE fighter to rescue the child, actually. Maybe. This might be where they're going for the next episode. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think that's where we're going next episode, because, you see the Mandalorian in the trailer coming out, and then he's taking on the Imperials, but maybe that's later down. That's another episode. It's hard to tell where this will be, because I'm going based off of the client saying, well, they're waiting for you outside, and maybe that's what happens. So we shall see. I'm just curious if you guys saw this as well. Also, did Baby Yoda feel the Mandalorian was going to beat the Trandoshans? It appears that way. I also noticed that they were hired to kill the Trandoshans, the baby Yoda. And, so that's a mystery. Which faction wants him alive and which faction wants him dead? I'd said on episode 300, maybe the New Republic wants him dead, which is interesting there. I brought up the old baby Hitler, baby Thanos kind of argument, and that's where we went on episode 300. So I know why the client and the Dr. Pershing want him alive, because, baby Yoda is valuable to them with regard of Dr. Pershing looks like he's a cloner or some sort, or has some kind of ties to that. So who knows? That's all I really have for speculation this week. And this is all I really have for this episode, because it was a quick episode. There wasn't a lot, dialogue, but visually there was a lot of good stuff. So that's it. We're going to wrap this up right now. Be sure to catch me joining Albert on episode 300 of the Cantina Cast to break down all things Mandalorian. This week, the Cantina Cast is all about our favorite Mandalorian now. You got 2 episodes of this, Mando Monday, and then episode 300 coming out tomorrow, where we talk all things Mandalorian. So please join me also in Mando Monday Discord channel at the EGM Discord. We're having a lively discussion going on there. It's a lot of fun. Had more interaction there than I thought I would, so I'm very pleased. So please join us. Links are obviously in show notes here. And that is going to do it for this episode of Mando Monday. I hope you have a great Mando Monday yourself, and I will catch you guys next Monday. This podcast is not endorsed or affiliated with Lucasfilm, Star Wars, Disney, or Disney Plus, and is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. All names, sound, music, and any other copyrighted material are held by their respective trademarks and copyright holders in the U.S. and abroad. I have spoken.